62.
National mandate. There is no such thing for resignation.
On January 29th of 2019, in my own notes, based on my own research, I make these observations based on my own research and describing, oh, it just disappeared. How lovely. The epigenomic traits of, let's see if we can find it. The genomic and epigenomic traits underpinning emergent fungal pathogens. This was the closest to layman's terms that I've found thus yet. It's a wealth of information. Do not proceed if you do not want to be unsettled, albeit aware that as the price of awareness. This is current and for a good reason, not easily searchable by normal channels, common browser, and are set up to veil upsetting information to unprepared eyes, using acronyms that are again not defined unless already in the vocabulary of the scientific and research community. I learned something new today, and this is back in 2019, RNA silencing. Translation, the EFP, or the elongation of, it is the elongation factor of protein synthesis, EFP1, which is what is going to describe the ribosomal binding, or the negative regulation, which controls the synthesis of protein in a cellular structure, or a body, or a mammal, or in pesticide use for use in world agricultural crops and pesticides, so on and so forth. That EFP function is a mutation, including known strains of invasive strains that can inhibit protein synthesis, also disengage normal immune system function, which is why it cannot gain weight, increasingly weak, and no matter how hard I try to stay on a strict immune building diet and supplements, it doesn't really matter. There's another one that is a hormone related to the regulation upregulation or downregulation of RNA in the form of an mRNAi or an RNAi that gives it the ability to send what's called a nonsense mutation, which is a signal to your hormones, say for example in your kidneys, or your ability to absorb moisture when you're thirsty. The signal goes to your normal hormone switching. There's hormone switches that control, okay, thirsty, let's absorb the moisture or the water. Or if it's stuck in down regulating, it's an auto flush, and as much water as you can drink, your body sends it to your kidneys and you flush it out, therefore staying dehydrated. Now, what that would mean in terms of pesticides, where they were bioengineered, GMO engineered to choke out weeds in, again, industrial crops and farming on a global scale. We're talking world crop production. So whether or not they knew it would actually transcribe to human beings is besides the point. It does, it has, and you will not find this in any major news outlets. They have been so like smoothed over and sugar coated, and they don't talk about yeast infections or the threats of candida infections towards human beings in any kind of way that you would ever, be alarmed. But here's where it becomes important that in regions where there may be exposure to ATV riding, stirring up the dirt, or construction are key factors in developing an illness, which I would not wish on anyone. And those protocols that are meant for hospitals, that are required for hospitals, must be put on the same levels that are already put on the books for construction in a 5-mile radius of any hospital for containment thereof, as cited by the CDC in conjunction with the FDA and general contracting for construction rules, building construction radius guidelines, preventions, and proper protocols, containment thereof. That was January of 2019, back when I was still a young pup in learning all this stuff. So we do have a little bit of a problem here in residential because we live in the desert here, and besides the Santa Cruz Valley in California, valley fever, otherwise known as coccidioidomycosis, is becoming a much more virulent strain, cousin related to under the phyla of Candida, that is killing, a lot of dogs and pets, especially cats. Used to be immune to these things, and now they are also suffering. Anybody that is living in Arizona that has had any recent work in your yard or a backyard per se, re-landscaping. I have friends among friends who have lost all their dogs to valley fever, let alone it's now affecting humans in the worst way. It's becoming fatal to humans, and that's just valley fever. So that's why there is concern, great concern, as to why these protocols aren't being shared across not just commercial terms with regards to hospitals, where of course that is a very, very dangerous thing, where they provide positive pressure and make sure that the hospitals are basically all secured, but also that the sites of construction are watered down and are following, with the barriers, so that these little particles don't get out into and fly around, just like pollen, plant parts, and other things that fly around in our allergy seasons and any other time of the year, but especially in desert regions where there is dirt, soil, so on and so forth. So I thought I would add that in there as a final warning to what's going on all over this neighborhood, all up and down the north east corridor from Kolb Road up to Sunrise, and there are no warnings, nothing's going on. And they're also treating it with suppressants for the foundations, which another very dangerous strain known as Trichoderma viride, which we found of extremely high levels within the home here, due to negative airflow through the ventilation heating HVAC, that should have never ever been here. So it was like a perfect storm of things that aren't supposed to be, but yes, they are, and they are causing, well, people in this neighborhood are they're dying from these things. There are fatalities, and they are on the increase. They're not going to decrease by any means unless these issues are addressed. Let's keep politics out of this and just stay with the science and try to help some people so that they understand the dangers of things like this. And today is the 14th of April of 2021.